Hi everybody, this is Spring, the fiber enthusiast. So if you remember last week, or if you haven't seen it, you can go back to it. I will put either a card up above, or there will be a link to it at the end of this video. There was a tutorial on how to knit the gingham stitch pattern. And I told you at the end of the video that to save your swatch, if you worked up your swatch, that we were going to do a pattern this week with the same swatch, just carrying on with the swatch. So let's do a quick refresher. So the pattern is 10 plus 5, so repeats of 10 plus 5, and then I added 5 stitches on either side of the pattern, so that way I could have a border, as you see here. And then in the center you can see it looks like a checkerboard, and that's supposed to be the gingham look. These are small square gingham. So the first thing I did was I cast on 25 stitches and I knitted one row, and you'll see at the end why I knitted just one row. I'm also going to be casting off the same way, as it'll look the same as my very first row. And the reason for that is we're going to be sewing them together. Sorry for bumping the camera. We're going to be sewing them together like this and doing a little bit more. So I have for my head, now you can measure your head or the head that you're using it for. This is for a large adult, or this is for an adult large youth. It's going to go around your head like a headband, and you want to measure around your forehead to the top of your neck, base of your hairline, and over your ears to get a length. And what I have done is, as I was knitting the pattern along, I would check placing it around my head. Now I did stretch it out when I wrapped it around my head, and I am at, right now, I'm at 9 repeats of the 12 row repeat for this pattern. So I'm going to do one more for my head, which would be a total of 10 repeats of the 12 row repeat pattern. Now, if you need to know how to do the pattern, you can follow the tutorial on how to do this pattern. I'm not going to go over individual rows. I will put them down in the description box below. So if you want, you can also just look at that if you read patterns. If not, then like I said, there is a tutorial on the pattern, and you'll just keep repeating the same pattern over and over again until it is the right size to fit your head. So I'm going to go ahead and do one last repeat of the 12 rows, and then we'll sew this up and finish this project up together. I'm doing a little bit more than just sewing them together. So be sure and stay tuned till we get to that point, and that way you'll see what I'm going to be doing to complete this project. All right, I will be back in just a moment. Okay, so I have come to the end of my 10th repeat, and an easy way to look and see what the repeats are is one square like this and one square of knit. So that is one full repeat. And now for my head, I have done 10 full repeats after casting on and knitting the first row. Now we're going to cast off and finish this project up. It is a headband, but I will be doing the end result a little differently. So go ahead and cast off as normal by knitting the first stitch, knitting the second stitch, and then sliding the one over the second stitch, the first stitch over the second stitch. And then continue on, knit the next stitch, and transfer the first stitch over the last stitch. So continue doing this cast off across until you have reached the other end. Okay, coming up to the last couple of stitches, casting off. What you're going to want to do after this is you only need to cut enough of a tail to sew in the end. And then we're going to get a 4-foot piece of yarn to close these two pieces together. So when you're deciding on how big you want to make it and all of that, the biggest thing to remember is when you're going to put these together, you want to make the end of your row opposite of the beginning of, or the end of your project opposite of the beginning. So you want to complete a full 12 row repeat at the end in order for it to match up and continue in pattern. So you can go ahead and sew in your ends and cut a 4-foot piece of yarn. Okay, so once you have a 4-foot tail, you're going to want to thread your needle and turn your work inside out. Even though this is a reversible, I want to work on the inside, the wrong side. Turn your work inside out and lace just by weaving from this very bottom stitch. You're just going to weave back and forth every couple of stitches all the way to the top. Move the project down on the yarn as need be. Okay, once you've come out the other end, what you're going to want to do is fold your yarn in half from tail to tail, I'm just going to move my needle up a little bit. From tail end to tail end, you want to move it up so that everything is even. And now we're going to work this project so that way it is on one side of the half, on one half. So on the end of one 2-foot section. Okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to turn our work over here and lace back down through the opposite panel. Okay? Once you've got to the end, pull it all the way through until your two ends now meet up. And your tails are as even as possible. It'll all fix itself when we drawstring it together. Okay, so here we are. We are open in the center and attached here with a loop. Okay. So now what I want you to do is hold your tail in one hand, and with your other hand, use a good amount of force and slide it all together, just like that. And I want you to do a double knot. So we're going to go ahead and do the first half of the knot good and tight, just like that. Then wrap your yarn one tail around the other twice. What this will do is help hold it in place when you cinch it down like that, just like that. Okay? Now we're going to turn it back right side out, right side facing out. And in this section here, we now have open. We're going to go and split these two tails, one out one side and one out the other. See how they're going in between the panels. And you're going to take and wrap the one from the left side around to the right and back under the project knot and out to the left. Okay, so that's the left side. The right side, you're going to do exact opposite. You're going to go from the right to the left, under where we sewed it together, and back out to the right. And cinch it down just a little bit, not a lot. And you're going to keep doing this with both tail ends until the end. And you're just crisscrossing them on the underside. The reason I turned it this direction is because I want to make sure that this side is more uniform looking. When you get down to this a couple 3 inches where we're going to sew it in, you just stop wrapping. So I'll keep wrapping this one more time. Okay. Now you see how that's, for the most part, nice and uniform. We want to turn it back wrong side out. And again, I'm going to place a double knot in here and tuck it into all of these strands. But this double knot is not going to be as tight as the last one, because I don't want it to make everything all jumbled on the front. There we go. And now how am I going to tuck it into these? Well, I'm going to put both of these onto the needle and pull that knot down into those strands and try to lock it down in place down there. Just thread my needle. And I'm going to go down into those strands and down into the loop here where we cinched them together. I'm going to pull that knot down in there. See how it disappeared down in there? Now I'm going to hide these tails a little bit more and cut off the excess. Just like that. Pull them over and cut off the excess here. Be careful not to cut anything else. Then just work them back down over those tails. Okay. Now you want to get everything all lined out. And here's the headband. And now you can sew these together however you'd like. Because it is a very wide headband, I wanted to draw it together. And this could be up top, on the side, under your hair. Mine will be under my hair more than likely. But that's entirely up to the person wearing it, how they want to wear it. But here is a gingham knitted small gingham stitch pattern headband. I'll insert a couple pictures of it on my mannequin head at the end of this video. Remember, you can find the pattern that I used to make this in the video at the end of this video, in the link at the end of this video. Also, there will be pattern notes if you read patterns down at the bottom. Okay, that is it for now. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this tutorial or are making this, let me know down in the comment section. Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing. Bye, everybody.